This is Roborace, the first driverless racing series. A competition between cutting-edge artificial intelligence technology and good old human ingenuity. Today, Roborace is in the early stages of a long journey. Season Alpha, as they have dubbed it, is very much a testing ground for the technology and a proof of concept for the competition format. The goal? To use the platform that competition offers to help drive the development of autonomous technology. At the heart of any racing competition, the cars are the real point of focus.
So we developed two vehicles. One was Robocar, which is purposely built to be autonomous vehicle. So packaging, the way it looks, the emotions. When you see the car, it's stronger message from Robocar. But we also built a DevBot. It was short of development vehicle, which has a dual purpose. You can drive it as a person or as a race driver, but it can also drive in autonomous mode. So we thought that at the early stages of the development, it's just much quicker to put a human inside, because still it can give you a feedback much quicker than programming the machine to do it. Because when we started, there was not that much of electrical autonomous racing around.
Yeah.
So we had to do many things from scratch. So having a driver in the loop, having a human in the loop, allowed us to progress faster.
Robocar and DevBot make use of near identical underlying technology to allow them to drive unaided by humans. This includes a variety of sensors to understand the surroundings and identify other objects, as well as the typical sensors you would expect to provide information about speed, direction, acceleration, etc.
The cars take their inputs from all the sensors on the vehicles, so we have LiDARs and cameras, and we also have GPS on our cars as well. So we have a number of cameras on the front. We have a camera on the roof and two other cameras on the front. The two cameras on the corners are used for stereo vision, so that's like creating a depth map basically for the car to allow it to know how far away other objects are. And then the roof camera is also for mainly object detection, but also drivable space estimation as well.
We provide a car as a platform. Okay. The platform is like a key word here. So it's both a hardware platform. All the cars are the same. So we develop the car, the powertrain, the chassis, the aero package, and we provide a base software stack for people to start from, and all the interfaces, all the connectivity between the software and the car. And it's done for a number of reasons. So one of the reasons is that we want to focus on the autonomous software, on the autonomous technology. Imagine one team being really good at, I don't know, designing a different suspension, and they could dominate the race. Not because they have better AI algorithms, but because they just better at motorsport or powertrain, whatever. We're here to showcase the autonomous technology.
At its deepest level, our interest in racing stems from the interaction between the driver and car. The human element is as much of a story as the machine itself. As racing fans, we pose endless hypothetical questions about this interaction. What if driver X was in car Y, or I think driver A is outperforming the machinery? These are the stories that keep us engaged, enthralled, and coming back for more week in, week out. But far from removing the human factor from the equation, Roborace has the potential to add another dimension to these stories. This manifests in the direct competition between humans and AI-driven vehicles, but also in the rivalry between the different teams developing their own AI drivers.
We have used a human driver as a benchmark to set the goals for AI driver, and we used a human driver to push the car to its limit, to show AI where the limits are. And again, it's just for purpose of efficiency, because having a professional human driver, it's much, much easier, faster and safer. Not maybe not safer from human safety perspective, but at the moment, the human drivers are still ahead of AI drivers, especially professional drivers. maybe not Sunday drivers, but professional drivers, we're not there yet to beat them yet. We can use that data to feed AI algorithms to show where the limits of the car are and compare it with how the driver takes the corner compared with the algorithm. So it's still, I think that will be one of the areas where teams could accelerate the development really fast.
Much of the discussion about automation centers around the ever-present fear that human beings will one day be replaced by machines. And this is obviously a hot topic of conversation surrounding autonomous cars. But when it comes to competition, Roborace doesn't see it as us or them.
I think Roborace is very different to sports like Formula E or Formula 1. We're not trying to compete really with them. It's more of a technology exercise at the moment. We still try to keep the human in the loop. Obviously, we have human drivers that are still our test drivers, and our teams are really the human element of the whole thing. But we are a very much technology-focused organisation and competition.
But if you think about horses, I mean, 100 years ago, everyone was riding, or maybe 150 years ago, everyone was riding a horse, and that was the main means of transport. Now we've got cars, but there's still people who enjoy riding. There's still races around, and people go and watch them. So I don't think, like, again, coming back to our CEO, I don't think he will be out of the job as a race driver in the future, because there's always will be a place for a race series where he can show his skills as a human. But there's also a space for us where to showcase the skills for AI algorithms, how good they are.
Roborace isn't just about teaching a machine to first emulate and then surpass what a human being can do in a racing car. Much of the interest in the competition from my perspective is in the rivalry between teams of people from different backgrounds and with differing goals, developing the software tools that the cars can use to gain an advantage over their competitors. And this is somewhere where the similarities with other series are very evident. In Formula 1, these developments are born in the wind tunnel or the powertrain department, while for Roborace, it's all in the code. Moreover, this is a two-way street. The lessons learned on the track have obvious implications for road-going autonomous vehicles, and interestingly, also for gaming. Sim racers are keenly aware of the strengths and weaknesses of AI in driving games, and the potential for crossover between the virtual and real world is tantalizing. Roborace has big plans for the integration of gamification and the use of technologies like VR and AR, but also there's potential for lessons learned in Roborace competition to leave a marked impact on driving sims. And what's fascinating for me is that this is a project that we're seeing in its very earliest stages. So there's a lot of scope for development, some of which we'll see during Season Alpha. With Roborace hoping to provide a proving ground for automated vehicle technology, it's fairly evident that there's going to be a learning curve for everyone involved. And the team have developed a sensible and sustainable approach to building a racing series with what is a pretty daunting emerging technology at its core.
At the moment, we are running Season Alpha, and it's called Alpha for a reason. It's not Season 1, it's Season Alpha. Then we're going to have a Season Beta and Season 1. So because we have the very first in what we're doing, we are experimenting with formats, we're experimenting with race format, with the challenges we give to the human. So there was a lot of ideas how we can pitch human and the AI algorithms and the autonomous driver against each other. So we as a human rely on our vision. When it's dark, we don't see that much, but computers do, and the lidars do, cameras, infrared cameras do. Having that platform, they've got to mix human and autonomous drivers gives us a lot of opportunities. And I think learning from the human driver would be an important part of the journey to beat the human driver.
Right now, Roborace has 2 teams officially developing cars for Season Alpha, with more lined up to join as the season progresses. Commercial vehicle developer Arrival and TUM University are both involved at this early stage, and the contrast between their approaches and aspirations is compelling. For Arrival, demonstrating autonomous technology has obvious commercial implications, while the academics are in it to push the frontiers of self-driving technology, and they're even going as far as to make their code available to the public.
We're trying to be connected to the real world, but at the same time we can try new things. We can try ideas from academia, give them a space to develop it further, to showcase what they can do. So yeah, some of the stuff we're doing is quite advanced, but it's still the early phase. We're still, the walking before running. That's a place to watch if you want to see some cutting edge advancements in robotics.
So, is Roborace the future for racing then? Well, I think it's a future for racing. There will always be an interest in watching human beings compete against each other, be it on a pitch, in a ring, or in a car. But as our engagement with other digital competition has increased, particularly through esports, I also believe that our interest in watching human-developed AI compete both against itself and against human competitors will also deepen. This isn't a case of choose one or the other, and there's plenty of opportunity for both to coexist. As a racing fan and a bit of a tech geek, the integration and adaptation of self-driving technologies is one of, if not the most fascinating area of development. This fledgling technology is taking its first careful steps into the competitive environment, and while the story today is compelling, for me, it's the future that holds much of the intrigue.